All right, looks like we got an update when it comes to Metroid Prime 4 Beyond sales overall. Now, I'm not saying that this game has sold millions upon millions of copies. Don't take it as that. And Nintendo has not officially announced anything at this point, but so far, so good. I wanted to see the opening launch week, kind of see how the position charts are at this point. We'll get more details in February from Nintendo officially, unless they have some type of press release that they'll have next week or before the end of the year. We probably won't find out about how well the game is doing until February at their financial sales report for the end of the year. So let's go ahead and jump right into what's happening right now with the positioning of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So if you look on Amazon, between the Amazon best sellers overall and the Amazon new releases, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is in the top 3 on the best sellers for the US Amazon. It's in at number 2 behind the NBA 2K26 game, which is actually on sale for $30 right now. So Metroid Prime 4 Beyond at its $70 price range, definitely hanging in there. And then if you go to new releases, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is actually behind Pokemon Legends ZA on the Nintendo Switch 2. Although I do think there was an error with this game because for the longest time it showed the Nintendo Switch 1 version well above the Switch 2 version. Then out of nowhere, the Switch 2 version all of a sudden just magically teleported to the number 2 spot at this point. So I do think that there might have been a little bit of a glitch there between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2 version. But either way, it's still in the top 3 overall when it comes to Amazon new releases. So Metroid Prime 4 Beyond hanging in there on both the new release charts in addition to the Amazon best sellers chart. And that's what you want to see, especially throughout the rest of December. You want to see it be up in the top 5 or 10 or so. When it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 by itself, excluding other games, it's in at number 3 as well, behind Donkey Kong Bonanza when it comes to that. So how they kind of count the sales and updates is kind of weird, but either way, you've got a top 3 overall on all different charting metrics for Amazon. So that's definitely a good thing. Now, another good thing, which I think is also going to be huge here for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, is the eShop charts. And it's number 1 in the US eShop when it comes to the Switch 1 and the Nintendo Switch 2. And that's definitely something that you want to see because the eShop has gained more and more prominence as people just want to have a convenient way to play their games without having to switch cartridges. I know I love my physical cartridges. I bought Metroid Prime 4 Beyond physical, but there still are a lot of people that are buying games digital just to have that digital access easy to all of their games. So the eShop is going to be a good metric when it comes to how well a game can do, and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is in at number 1 on the opening launch week here. Now we'll see how long, or we'll see how far it kind of goes, how long it stays in that number 1 position. I just hope that it stays in the top 30. I think that if it stays in the top 30 all throughout the rest of the month, which I think that it will, in addition to into next year, if it stays in the top 30 or so, I think that would be good for Metroid's Prime future overall. So number 1 across the board on the eShop, top 3 when it comes to Amazon bestsellers here in the US, and it's one of the top games when it comes to other regions as well. It's either number 2 or number 3. It's in the mix pretty much in all of the major regions overall. Even in Japan, I think it's in the top 10 or so. Japan's not as big on Metroid, but I do think that it's doing pretty good so far. Now, once again, we'll see how it goes. There's been a lot of talk about how well this game can do, especially coming off of Metroid Dread. It's selling 3 million units plus, and I think that it can do around that, if not better overall. I do think that the review scores, at least at the beginning here, put a little bit of a damper in terms of maybe some people rushing out there and going and buying it. Some people are heavily influenced by Metacritic scores and reviews from some people. And if it's not some type of massive game that everyone's saying is like a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 or whatever the case is, they don't go out there and buy it. But I do think that word of mouth, and as more people actually play the game, we're seeing more people say, wait a minute, it's not as bad as some of these 6 scores that it got, or even some of these 7 scores. There are people that are giving it 8, 9, and 10s as well when it comes to their own personal ratings, and everywhere kind of in between that. But I'm seeing a lot of great scores and people saying, hey, it's good, there's just some things here that they can build upon, and I think that's what they need to do with this title. I'm still going through myself, guys. I'm 10 hours plus in, but I'll say this, I did do a little bit of a first impressions video for you guys in terms of what I felt kind of blew away the other Metroid Prime games. I'll do a full review once I'm done. I think I'm about halfway plus. I'm 10 hours in, which I know there's a lot of people that are already finishing the game at 10 hours, but I'm like soaking up everything. I am exploring the whole desert area. I am getting every single little secret. I am just really going through and enjoying the combat, enjoying the game so far. So when I'm done getting pretty much everything that I can, or everything that I can find in a single run, I'll give you guys my full review and score and all of that. So I'm probably about another maybe week away, maybe a little bit less than that. Just depends how much I get to play it this upcoming week. So I'll probably get that review out for you guys overall, at least the completed review. If you haven't seen my first initial impressions, check out the link in the description. I'll have it for you guys. Or if you just go to my page, it'll be right there. You will see it when it comes to Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So yeah, definitely exciting overall. But what does this mean for the future of Metroid Prime? Could we see a Metroid Prime 5? Because there are already, I guess some people saying that there's some rumors that Retro Studios is already working on that. And I do think that this is a 2-game type of deal. I don't think it's a one chance at it, then they're done. I think that this was an opportunity to build a true HD new Metroid game and kind of areas and locations and assets and all that. And they can flip this and kind of make the next game, when it comes to Metroid Prime 5, they can make it exclusive to the Switch 2, and they can really flesh out a lot of the things that maybe some people didn't like when it comes to Metroid Prime 4. They can make a bigger world, they can kind of make it more interconnected, they can do a lot of different things now that they have the foundation and groundwork built, because this game looks incredible. They put a lot of time and resources into the look of this game, the HDR, the graphics, the 120 FPS, the 4K 60. Like, there's a lot of great stuff in here. But now all of that is done on the Nintendo Switch 2, they can take that and even improve upon it more and create something truly special for Metroid Prime 5. So I do think that was the plan overall for the game after all of this time. And I think that we will get a Metroid Prime 5 that kind of goes off again when it comes to what happened in Metroid Prime 4, and we can see something pretty crazy overall. And I don't think it'll take 6 to 7 years, because I think that they'll reuse assets, but just once again kind of improve upon things a little bit more, specifically for the Nintendo Switch 2, because it probably won't be a Switch 1 game. And I think that they're going to really do some crazy stuff when it comes to Metroid Prime 5, if there is one, but I do think that there will be one overall. So I do think that this will be a continuation. It's not just one game, then they're done with Retro. I think they're going to flip those assets and create another game when it comes to Metroid Prime 5. And then we'll see how that game does in the Switch 2's life, as we're multiple years in. So what do you guys think when it comes to Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and the sales start so far here? You can let me know in the comment section. But before we get to the next topic, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening here when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. We've got some updates based off of a recent interview overall. Shoutouts to Genki. He's talked about this. Stealth has talked about this on Twitter as well. And Mr. Naoki Hamaguchi has talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 and what some of the key aspects and what they want to do for this game, because it's not expected to be the same as what they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So apparently, Highwind will be a very important key word for Part 3 of the FF7 Remake trilogy. He says that they don't want the game experience to be exactly the same as the previous games, and they want to deliver a new game experience and a new scale with Part 3. So that is very interesting. Highwind. So some people are thinking there's going to be more air parts in the game, maybe like a big airship, and you're going to be having air battles. You're going to be fighting throughout the air, and there's going to maybe air grinding and rail, some of the other stuff that previous Final Fantasy games have done quite well and maybe not so well in some other areas. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, if you look at Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, and then if you look at Part 2 or Rebirth, it's pretty grounded overall. There's not a ton of stuff going on when it comes to that, and Final Fantasy's been known for high winds, or have been known for air stuff overall. So the fact that those two games don't have a lot of it, there's some in there, but not really a lot, I think that can be a very interesting gameplay mechanic if that's what he's talking about overall. I do like the fact that they want to do new experiences as well. I felt a little burnt out at Rebirth, even though it's a really good game, and I think that the combat does improve quite a bit. I think that the structure and the amount of mini games and how they did things was really wonky overall. So if they can kind of fine tune, maybe finding a good balance between not having incredibly annoying mini games, actually having side quests that are challenged out there in the field or out where you are, instead of having it all confined to like a VR machine, or not all confined, but you guys know what I'm talking about with the Chadley stuff, a lot of it confined to the VR machine. I think that that can be a pretty compelling game overall. I don't think that they have to have some type of 100-hour experience overall with this game. I think it can be a finely tuned 50, 60-hour experience with really fun mini games and really cool things to do after you beat the game, or side quests and all that. So I hope that they actually kind of look at that in terms of what worked and what didn't work with FF7 Rebirth and say, okay, we can do it this way and have a true conclusion to this really remake trilogy that we didn't really need overall. I mean, they could have just made Final Fantasy VII and then just did that again, but then added a bunch of new stuff to it and put it in one game. I get that would take a long time, but I don't think anybody really wanted 3 games spread across multiple systems in a decade overall with that. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. They already committed to doing it, so that's just what it is. But yeah, I do think that it can finish out strong here. So we'll see what happens when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. He also had some more to say on this as well. Shout outs to Genki once again. And Mr. Hamaguchi says that him and Tetsuya Nomura have narrowed down the title of FF7 Remake Part 3 to 2 options and will decide on which one by the end of this year. Here was the quote from him. Me and Tetsuya Nomura have already narrowed it down to 2. Within the year, we will decide on which one. Within this year, it will be set. So there you go on that one. So they're kind of finalizing everything. I think sometimes you might get the name of the game at the beginning, but then other times you might not get the name at the beginning. I'm not exactly sure how that always shakes out. I know sometimes some developers said that, yeah, we got the name late overall after we did everything and we were kind of sitting on a couple different names. But then some developers know exactly what the name and the focus of what they want to do from the beginning is. So I have no issue either way. However they want to get that done, that is cool. I just want to see a great conclusion to this whole thing, because I kind of tapped out a little bit when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I love FF7 Remake Intergrade. I love FF7 Remake. I think it's very good. I think FF7 Rebirth is better overall. There was just a lot of things that kind of just made it more annoying to play when it comes to certain things with FF7 Rebirth, but it's still an incredible experience. 90+ rated game. People really did enjoy it. It's got crazy lore, crazy story attached to it. Between Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, man, those two games just have some flashy, awesome moves, very fun stuff to do in the game, really high quality. You don't really see a ton of Japanese RPGs that are doing what they're doing at that graphic and fidelity level overall, just because it's really expensive. And I think the best thing about this is that Square Enix finally realized what they need to do with this Final Fantasy brand, and kind of just limiting it to Sony is not good, as people are not playing Final Fantasy as much as they used to. So opening it up, making sure that it's going to come to PC and to Xbox, and especially importantly that it's going to come to the Nintendo Switch 2. When it comes to the whole trilogy, we're getting FF7 Remake Intergrade in January on Xbox and on Nintendo Switch 2. So making sure that it comes to everything is the best thing for Final Fantasy going forward. And I think it's going to make it significantly more popular, especially in Japan. I do see that Final Fantasy will get back to the levels that it got to before with the Nintendo Switch 2 as well, because now you have a big boost of people that are going to be willing to actually play it, because Nintendo Switch 2 dominates in Japan. A lot of people just buy the Switch 2, and that's their system that they have for home console and for portable. So getting it out on the Nintendo Switch 2 is a must for pretty much any Japanese RPG out there, and Square Enix has already committed that all of them will be on the Nintendo Switch 2, in addition to Xbox as well. But for Japan, it's just so crucial looking at the sales numbers overall. And of course, the Switch 2 is going to be a seller pretty much in every single area for the rest of the generation. People are going to be picking it up. So I do think that it's very important when it comes to that. So me personally, I'm very excited to see how it concludes. I want to see what combat additions that they make to the game. I want to see how many characters that they're going to have in there. What are they going to do overall with it? And how is the story going to go? It's just fascinating to me that they've been able to do this since 2020. when it comes to the original FF7 Remake Intergrade, and now we're all the way in 2025. Maybe this game comes out in the next couple of years here, so we'll see what happens. But what do you guys think when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 and the potential name and what they're going to be doing and the new gameplay additions and changes and how they want to shake things up a bit? Let me know in the comment section below. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2, RPG content, and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.